Welcome to another solo pod of Off the Record with Dannie Rogers. I can't stress to you enough how many people did not ask for this. However, I had a great time doing it. And you guys sent in so many great questions round two when I asked for them via Twitter, Instagram. So we're gonna run it back. We're gonna do this again. These are mainly off the field kind of questions, more so broadcasting, just football related, but more so off the field. So, which we love. So let's get into it. One of my favorite humans who is with this organization, who is just amazing at her job, is Ashley Strauss. She's the head of all of creative. Kicks butt, former Eastern Michigan softball player. She sent in some really good questions that I'm really excited to get to. So first one Ashley asked is, what is something fans may not know about your job that would surprise them? I don't know. What surprised you, Vinny, when you first got here? Vinny's running the camera. I'm like, Vinny, come in here so I can bounce things off you. And I'm like already like stuck. Gosh, this is interesting. I don't know. I feel like you guys, I work in the same building as the coaches and players every day. Like, see Coach Campbell walking down the hallway. It's totally normal. I don't know.
It's gotta be the top three.
Probably it. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Do you brush shoulders with, the people in this building? Yeah, sure. During the season, a lot less because they are all locked in. But yeah, totally a thing here. Everyone's, very open. What is the most rewarding thing that you've experienced in your career? Oh gosh, I'm going to throw it back to Michigan football. I don't know why this came up first, but it is like a core memory. I was an intern there and I was able to help a family friend get pregame passes to essentially join us at the recruiting tailgate, where a lot of families and friends and players' families will come to. And he had just had a really young kid, about 12, 13, had I think his second open heart surgery. So the fact that he was there and I got to spearhead that and make sure he was able to come, the biggest Michigan fans ever, was really cool. And I really wanted to start doing something like that every game for Michigan football. But as an intern, not a whole lot of pull. Something, though, I'd love to revisit in the future, though. I think that would be awesome. Also, like when the parents kind of reach out and say, hey, thanks for covering my kid. This is back to when I was in like the local news days. That was really cool. And then another core memory that just happened when players come and ask you to help tell their story. I think that's one of the biggest compliments ever. I think it's awesome. So another one, if you could go back in time to speak with your younger self, what advice would you give her? Gosh, that's difficult. I do like the path that I took here. Every single person's path is different, so it's really hard for me to go back and wish something else. Of course, I've had a few hiccups. Every young sports broadcaster does. Just kind of like the process, the etiquette of going about things. I will say, though, that I feel like from the womb, I've had just great etiquette of how to navigate this business, so that was never really like in question. Gosh, these are great freaking questions. I would just say enjoy the ride. Try to be where your feet are, because everyone's always talking about the next thing. And if it's not you talking about it, it's people commenting, oh, we won't have you here long. Or it's agents trying to like get you to certain spots. I'm like, you're not even my agent. So everyone just try to be where your feet are. I think that's a big piece of advice for literally anyone in any career. If you could interview anyone living or dead, who would it be and why? Oh, listen. Okay, I think it started around 8 years old. This would make sense because then I was starting AAU basketball, travel basketball here in Michigan. Shout out to Lake Erie Lightning. We were good. I'm not going to lie. But that's when I started watching basketball, and that was around the time of the '04 Pistons, the champions. You know who my favorite player on that team was? Ben Wallace. Every single human being in the city of Detroit, media-wise, has interviewed Ben Wallace, and I have not yet. So this is me putting it on the record, not off the record, that I would like to interview Ben Wallace. Done. There it is. Okay, best stadium on the road so far. I don't know why, but Lions fans hate when I give any kind of love to away stadiums. I will tell you right now, my favorite stadium is Ford Field. It is like every single game day is like waking up and it's Christmas morning. I get to go to Ford Field and do our games. So I will preface that with that. Secondly, and I've been thinking about this in my mind, hands down, Minnesota. Aesthetics are great. That natural lighting for the selfies, phenomenal. SoFi is pretty cool, but it was so new when we went. They kind of were like working on some kinks of like, it's a massive stadium and they just opened it. So did really enjoy SoFi. Gosh, that's kind of it. I mean, Lambeau is Lambeau. This year, I'm actually, like last year it was raining. It was, oh my gosh, Monday Night Football last year. Last year it was raining. So I'm going to try to go out and actually like do my pregame hit and then kind of go like see what the district is all about and actually like experience Lambeau. So I think that's the next thing up. Okay, Ashley asked great questions. I have some more from you guys on a couple of different platforms. Okay, let's go to this right here. Where's that? Okay, these are some more really great questions. I got, what is my favorite pregame meal? Most of the time, I don't eat a ton before pregame. I just don't have time. I have to get my butt up. I leave with the radio crew and the Fox 2 crew, so we get up very early and we leave earlier than usually everyone else. So if I can get an actual latte, and I'm not talking about a coffee in the hotel room, like, I'm happy. Because I know there's going to be a muffin somewhere, unless it's one NFL stadium that I won't name names. Doesn't really look like limited options. But if you can get me a croissant and a latte with oat milk, I'm as happy as a clam. I will last through the entire first quarter without getting hungry. Yeah. Gosh. Shout out to Dallas. You guys are probably surprised I did not say that first. Halftime spread, phenomenal. But just give me a croissant and latte. I'll keep it real simple. How did you get the job for the Lions? This is a great question. No one asked me this in the first round. Not a single person asked me this. And that's a great question because I feel like if people are able to tell you exactly like how things came up, it helps, I don't know, just kind of pave the path for other people to be like, oh, let me put myself in a position to eventually also go down that path and be prepared for opportunities that come up. So one, where was I? I was in Tucson, Arizona. I love Arizona, but it is way too hot at 7 a.m. in the morning, 91 degrees, slaps you in the face as soon as you walk out your door. I was born 30 minutes south of Detroit. We're not doing that. So I was working for the University of Arizona football team. I would say there's probably 7 or 8 of us that came from Michigan football from the 2015 to 2017 era. So it literally felt like I was just picking up, moving across country because I was in Michigan. I was literally nannying that fall. And then I get a call December of 2020 to go do this job. Coach Fish called me, the head coach over there, and I interned for him at Michigan football. So I was at the University of Arizona. I was being their team reporter. Not a whole lot of college football programs have team reporters. So ladies, if you recognize that, or males, whoever, if you see that your football team or athletic department doesn't have a team reporter, it's becoming a thing. It's 100% something that you can pitch, and I've helped a few ladies pitch that to their D1 schools so far. Some big schools. So we can get it done. Just let me know. So I was there, their team reporter. I saw the job had been posted. I think one person from the Lions had reached out. It's Neil. Neil's our producer. I'd never met Neil. But social media, you meet everyone. So that's how he reached out, sent that to me. But it was really a lot of media. I think Neil sent it. I think he did. It was actually a lot of local media that had sent me the job posting. They're like, why don't you do this? I'm like, I don't know. I just got here to Arizona. I was only there for 5 months. I love this staff like it's family. I was like, I just don't know if I want to leave. I just got here. Like, then I have to pick up and move all the way back home. But ultimately, home was what decided. So I think I waited till the very last day to submit my application. I got a phone call very shortly after that. A couple days after that, I had an interview. Boom, we're here. Insane. Just absolutely insane. Most embarrassing moment since working with the Lions. I'll own up to this one. This was year one so last training camp, 2021. I had never covered the NFL in this capacity. I had covered one NFL game before this. Mind you, a lot of college football, which is the best stepping stone towards the NFL. But the NFL is ran very differently from college football. You have depth charts in the NFL. And the first time the depth chart came out, I don't even know. Was it training camp? Was it preseason? I sort of took that depth chart literally. It wasn't literal. So that's all I'll say for that. What's the most steps you've done in one event? This is a great question. Like, I can get easily like 10,000 steps if I'm actually working a football game. Like when I was sidelining for high school football. Or anytime I'm sidelining an event, like basketball, I get a lot of steps in, like 10,000 steps, easy. My most recent one was probably the draft, because I had to walk my booty all the way from Caesar's Palace to the draft stage. It was like 99 degrees. It was horrible. And I had a bunch of like camera gear, and then I had to like carry it myself, like, and get it on planes. It was crazy. I was like, oh my gosh, we're going back to our MMJs in Toledo, but it's fine. I don't even know how many steps I had. It was probably over 10,000 though. It was ridiculous, but it was so core memory for that too. That was amazing. I don't have any nerdy fun facts. I just don't. What advice, this is from my girl Katarina, what advice would you give for a female wanting to work in sports? And she said, thank you, which is so kind. This answer is going to change, I think, as my life just evolves and I come across different situations and how recently I've come across those different situations. So my advice to any female is do not make it difficult for the next female behind you to assume this position. You can take that as you want it. There's a million different ways to make a job not hard. And sometimes you accidentally make a job hard and you didn't mean to. But don't purposely or just carelessly make something harder for the next woman coming up. I mean, if you want to give them a little piece of advice, give it to them. Don't like ridicule or be critical of them. Just know that you were probably in their shoes once before, probably would have loved the advice that you're about to give. So that's kind of my biggest thing. Yeah, that's it. This answer is 100% going to change, but that's it. Just don't make it harder and be nice. Just be nice. It's not hard. Okay, what's been your most memorable interaction while working with the Lions? So this is tough. There's a couple. Game 1 last year, my first year, me and Lomas Brown, everyone's favorite, is doing our post-game show in Ford Field, on the field, after the game. You know who walks up behind us? My dad's idol, the greatest running back of all time, Barry Sanders. Because Lomas is just like waving to someone to come over. I'm like, who's coming over? And I'm like, oh my God, he's waving Barry Sanders over here. Act normal. So you know what I say when Barry Sanders gets up to me? I say, hi, Mr. Sanders. Nice to meet you. I've never lived that down since. Parents are very proud. It means I'm like, you know, I have some more etiquette. I have manners. I'm nice. But I'll never live that down. I'll never forget that moment. I'm like, this is my childhood walking over here. My dad doesn't go very many days without talking about Barry Sanders. So the next thing is to get my dad to meet Barry Sanders. Putting that into existence right now. What is your favorite post-game meal in Detroit? This is an amazing question. It changes after every game. Dang it, there's a pizza spot. There is a pizza spot. It might be by the DIA. It's off of Woodward. And it might be by the Gucci store, actually. It's all in that vicinity, but it's a really good pizza spot. What else? Shout out to my guy, Matt, over at Prime and Proper. If I could go there after every game, I would, but your girl would not be financially wise for me to do that. But yeah, that's a favorite pregame meal. Great question. That's from my girl Autumn. I think I had one more question, and I think it might have been a good question. What's the strangest thing you've seen happen on the sideline during a game that I feel comfortable talking about? Thank you, Daniel, for this question. It's not even Lions. Actually, there is. I'm not going to talk about that. There's one that dates back to, who was I covering? I think I was covering Michigan versus Notre Dame. I want to say this was 2018. Don't check that. It could be. I was on the sidelines doing my little MMJ, which means I'm shooting highlights for the game, and then I do a wrap package, which means I do a stand-up and a lead out on camera and send back to the station via my computer. So I'm standing there shooting the game. It's a night game. Crowd is absolutely bonkers. I'd never been to Notre Dame before. the stadium. My best friend went to St. Mary's, so I'd been in South Bend, but not the stadium. All of a sudden, like, first off, I was being screamed at the entire game. I think I was by the student section. So every time I came over, they're like, hey, hello. The next thing I know, there's a dude standing next to me on the sidelines who jumped out of the stands and wanted to stand next to me. And it scared the bejeezers out of me. I'm like, what's going to happen next? Is he going to run to the field? I'm like, they've literally been making remarks to me this whole game. I'm like, I don't really feel safe with this dude who's been yelling at me the whole game now standing next to me. So shout out to a very awesome human at Michigan Athletics who I was able to work with there. He literally became a wall. He's a large man too, by the way, very tall. He stood between me and the student section. I'm pretty sure it was student section. And literally he was so tall, he was able to shoot the game over my head and my shoulders so I could continue shooting the game, and I was in front of him so that he was blocking me from the people who were behind me. Crazy. Who does that? Who or what motivates you every day to keep going? Oh gosh, I'm a very internally motivated person. I will say my mom and dad, they would let me hear about it if, oh my gosh, this is Vinny's question. Did you just send this in? He sent this question in while we're filming. This is a great question, Vincenzo. Vincenzo is our intern. He's very talented. We're working on his reel and everything right now. Plug. Well, yeah, I'm very internally motivated. It doesn't take me a lot to get going. I put a lot of pressure on myself. None of this sounds healthy as a human being to do, but I'm very internally motivated. Parents would let me know if I was not being motivated enough. They both have their own businesses, so I had really good role models to look after of, oh, this is how you get stuff done. And then I have really motivated sisters as well. So that helps. Everyone in the fam is just highly motivated. So no one stops talking either. It's the Italian in us. Vincenzo knows. Just, I'm over here talking with my hands the whole. It's like every single thing is like a hand gesture. Thank you. That's a real Italian there. Oh no, you're only 50%, right? Oh my gosh, he's 100% Italian. How have you not jumped across this table yet and just been like, oh my gosh? Okay, that wraps up this edition of Off the Record with Dannie Rogers. This is so much fun to do. So next, I don't know, if you're watching this video, write your questions in the comments. Make sure they're nice, and I will try to mention them on the next one. But see you later.